First, the breaking news involving a mass shooting plot. A 69-year-old Jacksonville man arrested. He is accused of planning a massacre at the Islamic Center here in Jacksonville.
A very disturbing story. Our cameras rolling as Bernardino Bolatet's home in East Arlington was raided on Friday. The FBI saying he expressed strong anti-Islamic sentiment. And according to documents, the suspect told an undercover officer, quote, "I just want to give these freaking people a taste of their own medicine," adding, quote, "They are the ones who are always doing these shootings, these killings." So the Islamic Center of Northeast Florida, that's located over on St. John's Bluff Road over on the south side. The raid on Friday taking place on Eucalyptus Drive, just about 5 miles to the east. First Coast News reporter Brittany Dion is joining us live from the Islamic Center with more details on this plot. Brittany.
Anthony, we're just outside of the Islamic Center where this mass shooting was planned to go down. Now, take a look right here behind me at the tower behind the main center here. That is where police say the suspect planned to fire several weapons, including an AR-15. Now, I have the chairman of the board here with me, Ash Sheikh. What are you thinking about hearing this possible terror plot happening on your campus here?
It's very sad and alarming, but thank God that God Almighty protected us, and the law enforcement were so vigilant that they apprehended the person in time and have put him away. And I hope and pray to God that nobody ever gets hurt by anything like this.
At any point, did you all feel in any danger here on the premises?
No, we did not, because we were not aware of the situation, and we became aware of it until after the person has been arrested.
Does it ever go through your mind that a danger lurks outside these gates?
Yes and no. It's no different inside the gates as it is outside the gates or anywhere else in the country that we have. There are people who would like to do harm to others, but there are many, many others who would like to be good to each other, and we hope and pray that people like this one would not be succeeding, but they do succeed every now and then, and I hope and pray to God that all communities will stay safe.
And for folks who do not know, there are children who actually go to school here on the premises. We just saw a lot of kids just coming out to play on the playground.
Yes, we do have a lot of children, but again, we hope and pray that good God would be there to protect them. We do have enough security measures at the premises. We have video cameras everywhere, and but still, again, I cannot thank our law enforcement authorities enough for their vigilance and how quickly they have apprehended the person.
Got it. And just touching real quickly on the security measures, do you all, I know you have surveillance cameras, but do you have physical armed guards or anyone on the premises?
I would rather not talk about it, but rest assured that we do try to take every reasonable measure, but at the same time, again, we hope and pray that nobody would try to harm us.
Absolutely. And taking those threats towards you all, we've spoken to you many times before about you all being good people and of the community. Can you speak on that for me? Well,
let me put it this way. We purchased this property in 1982, and the community has grown tremendously since I came here in 1974. We have a full-time clinic that is there to serve everybody in the community. We have more than 30 physicians that come over there, give their time. We do not take any insurance. The clinic is only for those people who have no other place to go, and it's extremely busy, and we get cooperation from Baptist Hospital, Memorial, St. Vincent's. Everybody cooperates with us, and it's tremendous. We try to do as much good as we are expected to do to our fellow human beings, but then again, there are others who would like to do harm to you no matter who you are.
Got it. Thank you so much for speaking to us this afternoon. And for all of you at home, there's a lot that transpired with this investigation. We'll touch on a lot of that coming up on First Coast News at 6. For now, live on the South Side, I'm Brittany Dion, First Coast News on your side.
Brittany, thank you. And as you can imagine, an arrest for a mass shooting plot in Jacksonville has left many people shocked tonight.
A lot of people shocked, and that, of course, includes members of the Islamic community. We continue our team coverage right now with On Your Side's Ann Schindler. She joins us live now with more on that part of the story. Ann?
Well, I spoke to Parvez Ahmed today. He's a business professor at the University of North Florida, but he's also the former chair of the Council of American Islamic Relations and a former board member at the Islamic Center. He says that the kind of threat revealed by the FBI today is part of an unfortunate larger trend. And while he believes it's important not to shrink in the face of racism and intolerance, he does acknowledge that there is a created climate of fear.
In some sense, you're worried, and I've never been more worried personally. Not even after 9/11, I was this worried as I'm worried now. And that is significantly related to the political climate that we have. And there are lots of minority groups that are extremely concerned about how things are trending, not only in the manifestation of hate crimes and the rise of hate groups, but the general rhetoric towards demonization of groups.
Now, this isn't the first terroristic threat the Islamic Center has had to deal with since 9/11. I spoke with Dr. Ahmed about the special risks posed by the center's prominence in the city. I've got more on that at 6. Ann Schindler, First Coast News.
And coming up in 10 minutes, we'll talk one-on-one with a former FBI agent about this case, including how the investigation may have unfolded. That's coming up at 5:15. So the other story we've been following today, former Congresswoman Corrine Brown will spend 5 years in federal prison.
This is a story we brought you as breaking news earlier this morning. Judge Tim Corrigan issued the sentence for Brown to serve 60 months in federal prison after she was found guilty on those 18 counts of corruption. Brown, who was stone-faced following the sentencing, is also required to pay more than $62,000 in restitution to the IRS. Now, in addition to that, she must also pay a portion of the more than $452,000 in restitution to others.
Now, Brown and her co-conspirators, Carla Wiley and Ronnie Simmons, all left the courtroom this afternoon in silence. Wiley and Simmons were also sentenced at today's hearing. So to talk about a little bit more about this, we know the judge sentenced Carla Wiley, who ran the phony nonprofit organization called One Door for Education, to serve 21 months in federal prison for her role in the fraud scheme. Now, she received the least amount of time out of the 3 defendants involved.
So let's talk about the other defendants. Judge Corrigan issued a tougher sentence for Ronnie Simmons. That was Brown's former chief of staff who worked alongside her for many, many years. He has been sentenced to 48 months in prison, 4 years he will spend in federal prison.
We begin tonight with reporter Julia Janae, who tells us what comes next after today's sentencing. Julia.
That's right, guys. Today there was no emotion from the former Congresswoman as she walked into the courthouse this morning and when she left later on after she received a sentence from Judge Tim Corrigan for 5 years, 60 months in federal prison. And what happens next is uncertain because there are so many different possibilities. First of all, as I said, she walked out of here a free woman, and that will continue at least until January 8th. That's when Judge Tim Corrigan said that she will be able to be sentenced or will have to report, but a lot of this will be left up to the Bureau of Prisons. Now, the judge said that they are the ones who are going to decide when she has to report after January 8th and in which facility she will carry out her sentence. Now, her attorney, James Smith, told us that he plans to file a motion for bond pending appeal. That means while they are filing an appeal of her entire case, that motion for bond, if it's granted, will allow her to stay out of prison during the time that higher court reviews her case. She also has 14 days from today to file that appeal, and she has 7 days to surrender her passport. Now, another condition of this time where she's sentenced but not in prison, she also cannot leave the Middle District of Florida, this area. And today inside the courtroom, though there was no emotion from the Congresswoman, a lot of her supporters were here. They had a lot of emotional responses to this sentence, but they are unmovable, many of them, in their belief in her innocence.
When you're 71 years old and you get 60 months, that's like a big chunk of her life when you consider her mama 90 years old and, you know, she's 76. And, you know, so to me, that's almost like a life sentence in a way. I mean, I just don't feel that that was equal justice in America, and I think she deserved better.
Now, as a part of that sentence, Brown must spend 3 years after she is released from prison under supervised release. She's also been ordered to pay $250 a month after she is released. That is to go toward and to the government toward the $500,000 in restitution and forfeiture that Judge Tim Corrigan added to her sentence today. Now, continuing our team coverage, I'm here with First Coast News' Ken Amaro. Ken, you spoke with the defense attorney Smith right after that sentence was handed down.
That's correct, Julia. You know, one of the surprising things is that when Brown was indicted, her supporters were surprised. When she was convicted, they were stunned. Today, they're shocked that she's actually going to prison. Now, when she showed up at the courthouse this morning, as Julia said a second ago, she was very silent, uncharacteristically silent, and perhaps it's because the anticipation of what was going to happen was weighing heavy with her. Would it be probation or would it be a prison sentence? Brown was last to hear her fate. Wiley and Simmons were sentenced first, respectively. And Brown's attorney, James Smith, told me it was a difficult day for his client.
Today's an incredibly emotional day. I want you to think about this fact. For the first time in over several months, she was in the same courtroom as someone that she loved like a son, and he was seated right behind her. And it was heartbreaking for her to see him get sentenced to 4 years in prison, and then to hear herself get sentenced to prison.
Smith says the former Congresswoman wants her supporters to know that she will continue to fight to clear her name and to not give up hope.